if I had this list while I was considering him as a potential partner, I probably would have ended things sooner. This list ends up becoming your blueprint. This list ends up becoming your reference guide to look at and say, okay, are these things aligned? This list makes that so much more clear for me. This is the BS4 podcast, and I'm your host, Bria Villa. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the BS4 podcast. I'm your host, Bria Villa. If you are new here, welcome. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you. I love you as always. Today's episode is for my single ladies, or for anybody single. This can apply to you if you are in a phase of life right now where you are not partnered and you are trying to find a partner and get aligned to the right partner. This is a dating episode, but about dating with intention. So not just dating for fun, but dating to find your soulmate, to find your long-term partner, to find your spouse, your husband, your wife, whomever that may be. I'm going to give you the tips and tricks in this episode to help yourself find them. But before I get started, if you haven't already, make sure that you follow the show, make sure that you rate the show, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, make sure that you share with a friend. This podcast is growing, and it's growing because of your help. And so if I ask you for anything, just let it be that. Just engage with the pod. That way I can continue to do this content for you. So please make sure, like I said, you like, comment, subscribe, follow, rate, all the things. Appreciate you. But this episode is for you if you are single, if you are trying to really find your partner, if you are trying to intentionally date, not just date for the hell of it, but really seek the partner that you are trying to find and be with long term. If you are a frequent listener, maybe you listened to episode 37 where I talked about the 10 things that I am letting go of. And in that episode, one of the things that I said I was letting go of is dating. I said that I'm taking a break from dating, that I want to just get a breather, take a pause. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, definitely go listen to it. I talk through a lot of other things that I'm letting go of, but dating being one of them, and I give you the reasons why I stopped dating. Now, I tabled dating because honestly, it was exhausting, and it was something that I felt like I was just so unclear on what I wanted and how I wanted to show up and what I was looking for. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just take a step all the way back because I'm being so drained by this. And maybe I'm being drained because I don't have the right perspective. And I was right. I've taken a break from dating for a few months now, and I've been really intentional about what it is that I want out of a partner. And so in a lot of my reflection, I've realized that there are certain things that I want from a husband that I didn't realize that I wanted. But I think the biggest reframe for me is for a long time, I was envisioning what I wanted my relationship to be like, what I wanted my marriage to be like, what I expected the outcomes of the relationship to be, instead of who I want my partner to be. I was focused on the what, not the who. And I think the who and who your partner is and who you want to marry and who you want to spend your life with is more important than the ideology that you have of what that relationship should look like. Because the reality is every relationship has seasons. In every relationship that you have, whether it is platonic or whether it is romantic, there are going to be different seasons that you go through where one person takes on more of a role than the other. Then the next season it's flipped. And there's some seasons where you're really, really close and you're getting along and everything's perfect. And there's some seasons that you're struggling a little bit, or maybe you don't like each other as much, but you always find a way back to each other. And I think I had this ideology around what the relationship should look like that I wasn't factoring in the idea of, oh, but there's going to be seasons in this. And so I was picturing a fun, happy, loving marriage. But the reality is, yes, while I may have aspects of that, and yes, I hope the majority of my marriage feels that way, there's also the reality that there will be harder times, there will be different seasons. And so instead of being so fixated on what the relationship is supposed to look like, I realized that I needed to become more fixated on who the person is that I am choosing. Big difference, in my opinion. What that ended up leading to is I was trying to fit certain people into the image of the relationship versus looking at the person and saying, this is or isn't my person. And so to me, what I was doing was like, I had a square cut out and I was trying to fit a round peg into it. And while it fit, with certain men, it doesn't mean it fit perfectly. It just like kind of was forced in there. And so it's because I was looking at the different men that I was dating and I was like, oh, are you going to fit into my image of what a relationship would be? Versus, are you going to fit into the image of what I think my partner should be or what my long-term partner will be or who my husband is? And so this episode is really for me to walk you through a few exercises that I did recently to get really clear on who I want my long-term partner to be. For me, it's my husband, but to be inclusive for anybody who's listening, it's just whoever you want your long-term partner to be. So you can apply this to anybody. But for me, if I'm using my husband language, just obviously shift it for you and whatever makes sense for you if it's differing from how I explain it. Now, I'm not saying that I've found my husband yet, but what I am saying is I know exactly who I am looking for. And once you finish this episode and do these exercises, my hope is that you'll know exactly who you're looking for too. So today, the B is for bae. Let's find our baes, let's find our boos, let's find our boyfriends, let's find whatever. However you want to define it. I hope that you find the love that you're looking for and that this exercise helps guide you right to that. And honestly, something about me is I'm delusional. I've always been delusional. I literally was reading back. That sounds so crazy, but I was reading back on like old emails of me early in my career and getting shout outs. And one of my old leaders, she was like, Bria is the manifestation queen. And it's so true for me. Anything that I've really put into thought and had honestly delusions around, like truly believed would happen, has happened for me in my life. And I truly believe, especially after doing this exercise, that I am going to attract the most perfect husband. Like I am going to attract the absolute best partner for me. And I have a full, firm belief in that. Like zero doubts at this point. So I want you to feel the same. And we're going to go on this journey together. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, what beliefs do you currently have about men? Or what beliefs do you currently have about your potential partner? And how can you reframe those beliefs? I am not going to lie. I have been in like a man-hating mindset for a while now, okay? Don't cancel me, don't judge me. I just was having so many poor experiences with men that I really started to build this belief system that ultimately has been hurting me in the long run. I'll give you some examples of what my belief system was, and then I'll also give you the examples of how I shifted my mindset. And honestly, probably a lot of you can relate. So if you're a woman listening to this and you are attracted to men, put in the comments below which of these belief systems you also had, because honey, I know that this is a shared experience. So first, I believe that all the good ones were taken. In my mind, I was like, all the good ones, all the ones that I would actually be attracted to, the ones that carry the qualities I have, they're taken already. They're already married. They already are in a different phase of life. Like they're not available. That is the belief that I had. Another belief I had is that good men don't exist, period. I was like, the way that society has evolved, the type of man that I want, he just doesn't exist. Like they just don't exist anymore. I also had this belief that I would have to compromise in some way. In my mind, I was like, they can't possibly be smart, attractive, ambitious all at once. Like I'm going to have to compromise on one of those things to get the other. I also had this belief that men aren't able to meet me at my level. I felt like because I am ambitious and independent and an entrepreneur and a businesswoman and like a high value woman, I did not believe that a man would either already be at my level or be able to meet me at my level. And I also had this belief system that because of the experiences that I've had in my life, men would leave me at the times that I needed it most. I believed that because I've had a history of men not showing up for me in the ways that I needed to be showed up for, that no man would show up for me in the ways that I need to be shown up for. And so while all these beliefs felt so valid for me for a long time because of the experiences that I've had, because I've seen the way society has evolved, because dating has become so difficult, does not mean that these belief systems are true. If you are someone who had these belief systems in the same way that I did, if these are things that you currently believe, I'm here to tell you it's not true. It's literally not true. It's just your trauma brain telling you, oh, because this is what I experienced, this is what I'm going to continue to experience. But it's simply not true. And so these are the ways that I reframed my mindset. So I did an exercise where I wrote all these out. And then I was like, okay, what is the opposite of this that I need to believe? I went from saying, oh, all the good ones are taken, to the man for me is available, and the man for me is preparing for me in the same way that I am available and preparing for him. Like every single day, I've started to get in the habit of praying for my husband, of putting good energy into the universe for my husband to receive, and also preparing my mind for him as well. And so if I am able to do that, I also have to believe that a man is doing that for me as well. So I shifted from all the good ones are taken to no, there's someone that's available and preparing for me. I also shifted from good men don't exist to good men exist everywhere. They may be harder to find, just like you are harder to find, but I have plenty of examples of good men in my life. I have 2 fathers who are incredible, great men who are loving husbands who care about my mother and my stepmother deeply. They show up for me as their daughter, and they are just very high caliber, caring men. I have best friends who are incredible husbands, who are incredible fathers, who love deeply, who show up for me even platonically as friends. And so I have plenty of examples of good men in my life. Therefore, I have no reason to believe that good men don't exist because I see examples of it all the time. I just was refusing to accept that they are examples of it, or I was refusing to see it through that lens of like, okay, well, if they exist, then others must exist too, right? And so I had to shift that mindset. I also had to shift the mindset of I'll have to compromise, like they can't possibly be all the things that I want in one. I had to look in the mirror and say, well, I'm smart and I'm attractive and I'm ambitious. If I am those things, could it be possible that a man could be those things too? If I exist, couldn't it be possible that a man with all those qualities also exists? And I'm not saying they will be easy to find, but I'm saying they do exist and it's possible. And so I don't have to compromise on the things that are important to me because I'm not going to compromise on who I am. Therefore, there's going to be a man out there who isn't compromising on who he is and is those qualities. I just have to shift the mindset of, yes, they may be hard to find, but they're going to be worth it when I find them, or when they find me, or when we find each other. That literally goes back to the last thing that I'm saying, that yes, women like me are hard to find. Men like that will be hard to find as well, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist. There is absolutely a man out there who is at my level or will rise to the occasion when the opportunity presents itself. And so I am letting go of the doubt that someone won't meet me at my level because they absolutely can and will. And the last thing I needed to reframe is the idea that men leave me when I needed it most. Because at the end of the day, I can show up for myself. And I have shown up for myself so many times. And so even in the times that I was left, I was still okay. So it's not having an attachment to a man showing up for me, but it's having an expectation that a man should show up for me, and they will. Because if a man is doing all the things that I just listed, if I have a belief system that there are good men out there, that men are to the caliber that I want, I must also believe that they will show up for me in the way that I've seen other men show up for me and the women that are important to me in my life. While there is a lot of evidence of poor situations or bad men or ill-intended men, there's also evidence of good men, of kind men, of providing men in my life. And so I just need to choose what I need to focus on more, and belief in the existence and the proof that exists in that way because I believe in the existence and the proof that exists the negative way. So if I believe one, I also must believe the other. And my focus has now shifted into just believing more of the positive, believing these mindset shifts, believing in these reframes, because they're absolutely true. And so I recommend that you write down all the things that you believe, and then specifically the negative things that you believe, and then think about how you can reframe them using evidence that you've seen in your life. And if you don't have any evidence in your life, but you know that there's a possibility of it existing, lean into that possibility. Once you do that and do the mindset reframe, the next step of the exercise is actually identifying who your husband is, who your partner is, who your soulmate is. I want you to make a list of all of the qualities that your soulmate has. I want you to make a list of all the qualities that your husband has, ideally, and do not hold back. I want you to write morals. I want you to write values. I want you to write characteristics. I want you to write even physical attributes. I want you to write interests, hobbies. Like, write everything that you would want in an ideal partner, that are the qualities or the things that your future partner, that your long-term partner, that your spouse has. I want you to get super specific. Like, do not hold back. Do not let doubt creep in and make you feel like, oh, I couldn't possibly have this. I want you to get as specific as you possibly can and go through the exercise of truly envisioning all the qualities that you would want in a partner. I'm going to share some examples that I wrote down that my husband has. He is caring. He has golden retriever energy, but he's also protective. He has Doberman energy, a little balance of both. He's a provider. He's emotionally intelligent. He's intelligent, period. Like, he can make me think. He can teach me something. He can challenge me. He's driven. He has an entrepreneurial spirit. He's ambitious. He's loving. He's very romantic. He's affectionate. He's emotional. He's spiritual. He is open-minded. He's accepting and empathetic. He holds space for me and my emotions. He makes me feel supported. He makes me feel seen. He's successful. He's ambitious. He's a leader by nature. He's confident. But then I also wrote down some other attributes that I want. So bear with me. I said he's tall. He's over 6'1", and he is handsome. Because, baby, I'm 5'9". So I like a tall man. Okay? It doesn't have to be too tall. Over 6'1" is great. He has good style. He's fashionable. He has tattoos. He has a lot of sex appeal. He's athletic. He's fit. He cares about his body, health, wellness. He likes physical touch in the same way that I do. He has nice teeth and nice lips. He grounds me. He balances me. He loves to travel. He reads. He loves music. He loves art. Like, these are all things that I wrote down. It literally keeps going. Like, this list, I think there's over like 60 things on this list. I'm not going to lie to you. But one, notice how I said he is. So when I'm talking about my husband, I'm talking about my husband as though he already exists, because he does. And I'm just talking about him as who he is. And so I want you to get as specific as that. Like, I want you to write down all the things that are really important to you. But then once you do, I want you to write the whole list. So my list of 60, I wrote down. And then you're going to put them in must-have buckets and nice-to-have buckets, right? Because I think you can be deserving of all things, but I also think that there are things that are very, very clear non-negotiables for you, and you should be clear on those as well. And so I went through my list and I broke down some of the things that are must-have and some of the things that are nice to have. So an example of that is must-have is provider, emotionally intelligent, can challenge me and make me think, caring, protective. Like, those are must-haves. Nice to haves is, oh, he has tattoos. Nice to haves is, oh, he's over 6'1". Nice to have is, oh, he's fashionable, right? So it's like, those are not things that I'm going to look at someone and be like, absolutely non-negotiable. But the must-haves, I will look at someone and be like, absolutely non-negotiable. Like, you cannot not have these qualities. It's super important. So I want you to break it down and understand that you're deserving of both categories. But if you have someone come across you who has every single must-have and only some of the nice-to-haves, I really want you to evaluate what is truly important to you, okay? And what's going to be important in a long-term partner, not just what's going to be important as far as the perfect partner on social media, or you might look good together, or it might be good for now, but what's really important to you long-term? Like, what do you want out of a long-term partner? That way, when you meet this person, it is very clear to you that they are your person or they're not. But you have to write those lists down and separate them in that way. And over time, some things may flip. Some things may be like, oh, wait, actually, that's a non-negotiable. Or, oh, wait, actually, that's kind of a nice to have. That's not as important to me as what I once thought it was, right? And then this is where the real work comes in. Because once you write that list down, I want you to then reflect on the type of person you need to be in order to attract that person. So it's not just everything that's great about them and all the things that you want them to have. It's how do I attract that person? How do I grow, evolve, develop to be the type of person that would attract that type of man, that would attract that type of spouse? And you have to be really honest with yourself. And so what I ended up doing was almost taking myself out of it and looked at the whole list. And then I made a list of the type of woman that would attract this type of man with myself removed. So it was like ambitious, caring, loving, empathetic, has a servant's heart. Or I started to write down what type of woman would attract this type of man. And then when I made that list, I compared it to myself. And I was honest. I literally said, okay, actually, a lot of these things I already exhibit. A lot of these things are very much so me. And these are the few areas that I think I need to work on. These are the few areas that I can grow, that I can improve, that I can do better in. That way, I'm really walking the walk of being the type of wife and partner that I want to be versus just expecting a certain type of partner and not doing the work myself. But this is not to say that you should change who you are. Do not change who you are foundationally for the type of person you want. You still have to be yourself, but you can improve in certain areas to really be the best partner possible, to be the best version of you possible. So, to give you a quick little story time, I spent a lot of time reflecting on this list once I wrote it. I probably wrote it a month or so ago. And I started to think about former relationships or situationships that I've been in and thought of those men through the lens of my list. There was someone that I was talking to that on paper, I thought they had a lot of potential to be the type of partner that I wanted. We actually met at a wedding. So obviously, love is in the air. You meet at a wedding, you're naturally drawn to someone. We had a lot of similarities on paper, right? So like some of the things that I mentioned, oh, he had tattoos. Okay, he's over 6'1". Okay, he's emotionally intelligent. He's a leader. He's confident. He's ambitious. He's driven. Something else that I wrote down is I'm an oldest sibling, and it would be amazing if my husband was also an eldest sibling because there's just a certain experience that we understand in the dynamics that we play in our families. This man was also an eldest sibling. So initially, some of the things that I started to see and learn about him was aligning to my husband list. But then as time went on, there were things that I learned about him that were not aligned with my husband list. For example, I'm a spiritual person and he was not spiritual. He was agnostic, which by all means, no shade to people who are. Just something for me that is very personal and deep to me is my spirituality. And so that is something that I would love to share with my husband, non-negotiable. Other things that I started to notice was he wasn't necessarily affectionate or expressive or loving or romantic. And I am so passionate and I am so expressive and I am so loving that there's no way that I could be with someone who isn't that way as well, because I would constantly feel depleted or that my energy would not be matched. He didn't hold space for me or for my emotions. It felt like his emotions came first. And something that's really important to me is a man who makes me want to submit to him. Like, I want to submit to my husband, not by force, but by choice. And you have to create a certain level of safety for me to want to do that. And I did not feel safe in that way at all. Really, one of the biggest deal breakers is I want to feel like I can authentically be myself without being judged or without fearing I'm going to do something and they're going to pull away. And ultimately, I just didn't feel that way. I want my partner to be my absolute best friend where I can completely be myself. And I wasn't feeling that way with him. He also lacked the communication qualities that are very important to me. And I think a man of high integrity and a man that I can truly respect is a man who keeps his word and is intentional with his word. And I just was not seeing that in the way that I wanted to. And so I made these reflections later. Granted, I stopped speaking to him because some of these things were becoming clear to me, but I didn't have this list to refer to at the time. It was just like my own decision making that ultimately led to us no longer talking. But honestly, if I had this list while I was dating him, while I was talking to him, I don't know if I would call it dating, but while I was talking to him, while I was considering him as a potential partner, I probably would have ended things sooner if I looked at the list in the non-negotiables and really started to see those things stick out, because they're so clear to me now that I've reflected on it, now that I have this list, now that I know what's really important to me, and I have something to refer it to. This list ends up becoming your blueprint. This list ends up becoming your reference guide to look at and say, okay, are these things aligned? And I think a lot of the things were aligned in the pluses, or a lot of the things were aligned in the nice to have bucket, but they weren't aligned in the must have bucket. And so now in hindsight, I'm able to look back on that and be like, okay, I absolutely made the right decision. I know that that is not my person. I think in the moment that was a harder decision to make, because I didn't have the clarity that I have now. And so this exercise has been cool to be able to utilize to look on my past situations and compare them to the list that I have and be like, okay, did I already run into my husband and I just passed him up? Or did these things really not work out for a reason? And it's become clear to me they haven't worked out for a reason. This list makes that so much more clear for me. All that to be said, you can utilize this list for past, present, and future. It's really just about the clarity that you gain in doing it, not only in who your husband is, but who you want to be to attract your husband. So to round everything out, this exercise is so important because your husband can be standing right in front of you. Your soulmate, your future partner, your long-term spouse, your life partner can be standing right in front of you. And you may not even recognize that it's them because you don't know what you're looking for. So make the list, get clear on what you're looking for, and then also get clear on who you want to be for that person as well. It takes two to tango. That's why they call it a partnership. So in order for you to truly trust the decisions that you make, you have to be really clear on what it is that you want, and then trust yourself to be aligned to those desires. But you won't know what they are unless you take the time to write them out and really understand what's important to you. Something else to take away is don't idolize the type of relationship that you want. Spend more time prioritizing the partner you're looking for. That's a mistake that I've made and learned from, and I shared in the beginning. And so that's something that I want to share with you too. And finally, if you are dating with intention right now, if you are dating to find a partner, if you're dating to find a husband, if you're dating to find a wife, if you're dating to find your person for life, use this list and refer to it with every person that you meet. When you finish your first date, when you finish your third date or your fourth date, depending on how things are going, constantly go back to this list and spend time thinking about, okay, I went on this date with this man. Here are the things that he made me feel. Here are the things that I learned about him. Here are the things that I like about him. Here are the things that I don't like about him. Give them a fair evaluation and then refer to your list afterwards and be like, okay, how do these things compare? It'll save you so much time. It'll save you energy. And to be honest, emotion and passion are not enough. Passion does not negate strategy. It's easy to let feelings and emotions cloud your judgment on what's right for you. So having this list is like having a foundational thing that you can come back to even check yourself and hold yourself accountable as you're going through this process. Because if you are dating with intention, You have to be intentional. It's not just like, oh, I'm dating because I want to find a husband, but you don't even know what that husband's going to look like, babe. And when I say look like, I mean who they're going to be, the qualities they're going to have, etc. So use this list to also be your check and balance once you actually start going on dates and learning more about the people that you're dating. All that to be said, I am so excited to find my husband. I am so excited for this list to come to fruition. I truly believe that there is someone out there who is perfectly made for me, and I am perfectly made for them, and we will become aligned. But I have to be intentional about the woman I'm showing up as, and I have to be intentional about the man that I am seeking. And so this is an opportunity for me to do that. I wanted to make sure that I shared it with you too. Good luck on your journey in trying to find your partner. And I'm so excited to see, even a year from now, where we all end up. So if you like this episode, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, do all the things like I said. I appreciate you for tuning in, and there's going to be more topics like this in the near future, so make sure that you follow the show so that you can listen. And I'm so excited for you to go on your intentional soulmate, partner, life person journey, because I know that they will come to you in the same way they will come to me. So have an amazing day, sending you all my love, and I will see you next week.